Welcome to T-Smack, home of the T-Smack. May I take your order?
Hello there, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more. I'm your host, Josh Scar, and joining me, as always, is Alex. Alex, how have you been in this year of a week that we've had, where we went from 30-degree weather to 70-degree weather to 50-degree weather to 4 inches of snow on the ground as of today? How are you?
I don't know whether it's shedding season, whether it's spurring season. I don't know. Like you said, it was 70 on Friday, and then it was blustery with a storm. Yesterday, we did a charity walk for Next Wish, kind of like a Make-A-Wish charity for 18 to 24-year-olds. And it was 59, but with a negative 20-degree wind that was blowing us all over the course. And then, went to bed last night feeling wind-scraped and terrible. Wake up, I opened the drapes, see the 4 inches of snow, went, what the hell, and shut them, and then laid back down. I refuse to cooperate.
This is the kind of weather that always makes me think of that Treehouse of Horror episode from The Simpsons, where they rip off, or I should say they satire, parody Friday the 13th, where they make Willie Freddy Krueger. But it's because they got bad 13-month calendars, and the 13th month, it was the 13th day of the 13th month, whatever. And it's like, oh, lousy Smarch weather.
I know we didn't have much of a winter this season. We had maybe 6 inches total, something like that.
We had more snow today in the time that it fell to when it stopped at midday than we did when it was Christmas. There was barely a dusting covering the grass on Christmas. Like, it's in our area, that's like the worst feeling ever, is when you get to Christmas and there is no snow.
Mm-hmm. And so it is the perfect season to huddle in and play some video games with some friends.
It certainly is. It very much is. We are going to talk Split Fiction, the latest game from Hazelight Studios. But Alex, there are a couple things we need to touch base on real quick before we get into our promo, and then we start talking about our main topic. First and foremost, as the week has gone on, I feel really weird about my review of Mickey 17. Not only just because I feel bad that I made you watch 17 seasons of the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, don't. I loved it.
I'm terrible at communicating, but also because I think I liked the movie for the wrong reason. Sorry, I bumped my mic if you heard that. I enjoyed the movie, but it kind of doesn't hold up when you think about it too much, because I think the movie is a little too focused on the messaging and it forgets to movie.
Interesting.
And I listened to Justin's review on the Movie Wire. I've listened to a couple of other reviews. The From Superheroes team with Diana McCollum and her partner, Andrew Ivamy. They have wonderful reviews that I think are a little more in depth, because it's not, I'm not throwing you under the bus, Alex, much like one of my favorite punchlines from early on in Split Fiction. It's more just, I didn't eloquate enough from your questions because I was too busy focusing on the messaging of the movie rather than the substance of the movie, not just what is the movie trying to tell us extemporaneously, whatever the word may be, but more just what is this movie and how is it going about telling its story? Because I don't think the movie holds up when you try to think about too much of it, because I think it's trying to do too much. And I think the From Superheroes team said it best, where there's like a 3-hour-long movie that is probably really good from this, but you also probably don't want to see it after having seen the 2-hour and 20-minute movie.
Yeah, that's always the thing, is that in the golden age of DVDs and Blu-rays, you used to always get the director's cut or like the producer's cut, the unrated cut of a film. And some of them, like Ridley Scott, his extended cut of Kingdom of Heaven is the cut that should have been released.
It is the superior vision. Yeah, like it is really good. Like Kingdom of Heaven, I enjoyed outright as a theatrical release, but it's even better as a director's cut.
Right. But then you also ended up with like Oliver Stone's extended cut, then like definitive cut, then the ultimate cut of Alexander. It's like, you can't trick me. I already went through once, didn't particularly like it. You know, saw the extended edition, was like, okay, that's mildly better. But then, oh no, you come back with another version that, well, I added 12 minutes, but I also cut off 20. I'm like, I don't care. You know, your movie has to entice me to see what else your vision could have brought to it. Like Nosferatu just came out in December. By all accounts, very good movie. I didn't get the chance to see it, but the streaming version is the director's cut, which adds 2.5 minutes more to the film.
Oh, 2.5 minutes. That's a completely different movie.
Completely different. Apparently, it was a few extraneous scenes that were hinted at in the trailer that weren't in the movie. I'm like, okay, that's fine. If you want to release as your streaming release, your Blu-ray release, whatever, a extended version, okay, fine, sure, okay, we'll let that go. But if it's a movie that didn't sit with you well, do you want to see another 30 to 45 minutes of it?
I haven't dived too deeply. Dived. I think in the Midwest we say dove, but I don't think dove is technically a word, because I always read it dived, and I'm like, that word doesn't make sense. But I've been doing a rewatch of that 70s show, which, like, don't at me, I know half the cast is horrible people. I just really needed a new comfort watch, something to just put on in the background that I haven't seen in forever. And one thing I was surprised about with that show, besides the fact that, again, a half of that cast is awful people, they didn't give Fez his catchphrase until season 3. He didn't start doing that. I said good day. He didn't start doing that until like halfway through season 3.
Yeah, it's odd, the quirks that you put in there for movies and, you know, and shows about, oh, this has always been a thing. It's kind of like we were on a break. I think that was a season 4 thing, maybe, from Friends. The whole, and which became the running joke. Yeah, because
they built up to Ross and Rachel getting together. Then they were together for like a full season. Then the like end of the year thing was they broke up, and then they tried to get them back together a little while later, and we were on a break, became a thing. But the point I was trying to make, I've been using Peacock a lot lately because I've been doing this rewatch. And in the past, I made fun of Paramount Plus for being a complete shit platform. They have fixed their problems. Like, you can actually hit continue on your view stream now, and it'll pick up where you left off. Peacock still doesn't do that. No. Peacock, like, you can skip the intro, and it skips a minute beyond where the intro stops. So you have like the 30 to 40 second intro that we had in the 90s, and then it goes an extra minute beyond that. Like, what are you doing here? What is this? And then you can also hit continue, and it'll go back like 4 episodes. It doesn't even know where you left off. And we're talking about Nosferatu here. And I have the ad-based program for the streaming service, which I'm not going to renew it because there's nothing on that platform that really entices me besides like Ted. And I saw Twisted Metal is getting a season 2, surprisingly. I might try and figure out a way to get like a free trial once all the episodes are out and watch that, just because season 1 was surprisingly fun. But Nosferatu as a movie on the ad-based platform of Peacock has to be such a fucking chore. Like, you can't get immersed in the movie, and then you get an ad break for Ozempic and all these daytime TV ads you watch during The Price is Right.
See, I have ad-based Netflix, and ad-based Netflix I actually am impressed by, because you get a trailer like at the beginning or a promo for something, and then like right as you go to the next episode, unless it's a particularly long show, they don't do that. Now, Peacock for their movies isn't bad, other than they front load it. So like they have Jurassic Park on there and Twisters and some other stuff, and you have to watch like 370 seconds of ads before they'll play it for Peacock.
But if it goes uninterrupted, I'm fine with that, because I can literally walk away from my TV, go to the bathroom, make a snack, do whatever I need to do, and I'll still come back and there's like a minute 20 left.
Right, which isn't bad. But I think the worst one has to be Paramount, because we watch Ghost every week, and the playthrough for Peacock for Ghosts every time we watch it is like, did you know Ghost is now on Paramount Plus? Your favorite
the thing I'm watching on Paramount Plus is on Paramount Plus? No way.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have on my ad that says continue watching, this is new episode that I just clicked on. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I'm right here trying to watch it.
I at least would want that to be amused by what I'm watching rather than the like 4 or 5 ads that we get on Peacock, where again, it's Ozempic, Skyrizi, like all these weight loss and skin irritation medicines where they're like, hey, by the way, your heart might explode. Also, don't take this if you're allergic, but obviously you have to take it to find out that you're allergic. And there's obviously pre-tests and things like that. It's all those, like I said, it's the stuff that you watch during daytime TV where they're like, hey, by the way, you got limp dick, here's this. You got eczema, here's this. You struggle smoking, here's this. Here's a bank ad. Here's a self promotion for SNL 50, and also Ozempic. All these other, like, it's those 5-6 ads, all of them just on rotation, and I'm so sick of them. I'm glad I'm almost done with this rewatch of that 70s show. Then I can never watch it again because not only have the ads ruined it, but again, half the main cast, are horrible people.
Oh, you need to start watching Buzzer, Buzzr. It is a fast channel, free ad streaming television channel, and all they do is air the old Price is Right, To Tell the Truth, Card Sharks, Concentration, Tattletales, all those really cool like 50s to 80s celebrity panel kind of shows. And my favorite thing right now is when they bring on a sponsored product of you will be given this, or people in the studio audience, I look up which of these products still exist in some form or how they've been acquired or if there are any like class action lawsuits against them. And my favorite one currently is I have a secret. It was in black and white. I think it was in the 50s. And they air it with the commercial breaks from back in the day. And it is hysterical because I started laughing so hard because it was this woman saying like, I don't think my mother-in-law likes me. Last time we were together, she said I have halitosis. And the person she was talking to goes,
cigarettes.
well, dear, I just got back. I just got back from Paris and there's something I brought for you. Listerine.
Mine was better.
So good. I was like,
that was close.
Yes, it was. But I'm like, Listerine's French? What is this? How is this here? Like, I'm so confused. And then immediately, so they did that one. And of course, she's at a dinner and her mother-in-law and her talking. She's like, the mother-in-law goes, oh, your breath is so minty fresh. I'm glad you solved your problem. And it's like Listerine, antiseptic mouthwash. And then it went into another commercial. And it was this guy was like, what are you doing? Like, what is that? That doesn't look like chewing gum. It's like, it's Listerine breath strips for the man on the go. So yes, apparently men get breath strips, but women have to gargle.
While we're on the topic of like the streamers and all the ads and all that sort of stuff, I did watch Goon for the first time, a hockey comedy drama for an appearance that I have coming up this coming Friday from the day of release here. For I Have Some Notes. We did an episode about Goon, and that was a good time. So if you're listening after Friday, I will have the link to that episode in this episode description as well. So you can go check that out. Give the I Have Some Notes guys some love. They just recently joined the Discord as well, or at least I think Liam did. I think Greg's been a part of it, but he's just not been active because he's, a person that prioritizes work over chatting too much in the Discord, unlike us and Matt. So that's a good fun time coming up.
How dare they?
But I know, right? But one last thing before we get into the main topic of split fiction, which kind of ties into all this. Alex, we forgot that last week was International Women's Day, or last week was last week's International Women's Day happened last week when just after we recorded our episode, and we should have acknowledged it and we forgot to. So we're going to make amends. And in lieu of having the women who usually help on our podcast every now and again, just because scheduling didn't work out this week, let's talk about some of our favorite strong women in media and like some of our more favorite performances in recent years, or just like recently, literally, like we have Fallout with Ella Purnell, and we have Bella Ramsey coming back as, I'm forgetting the character's name. Is it? I want to say it's Ellen, but I know it's not.
It's Elle.
No,
wait. No, crap. No,
Ellie.
Ellie. Thank you. Oh my God, Joel and Ellie. Yeah.
Okay, but like Bella Ramsey as Ellie, Ella Purnell as Okie Dokie Girl. I'm forgetting her name now. But like my favorite drinking game time for talking smack, Angela Bassett and Black Panther 2. That is probably like it's going to be an all-time great performance that should be remembered, but maybe it won't because she didn't get the Oscar for it. But that's one that I think will go down in at least the annals of nerd culture with that performance. Another one I want to shout out real quick is the duo of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo in Wicked. Have you had a chance to see Wicked yet?
It is on the list, man. There's so much TV to catch up on.
Sure is. I
But it
know
is
that's
on the
coming to
list.
Peacock soon if it isn't already on Peacock.
I think it comes out this Friday, or just came out on Friday. But I haven't had a chance between the weather and the weather.
Yeah, but I want to shout that duo out specifically for like a more modern, present day kind of thing, just because they really seem to have attached to each other. Like they kind of understood the assignment and they crushed it with their on-screen performances as well as like what they've done outside of it. They don't seem to be too upset or like trying to push each other out of the limelight. They're going in it together, and whoever gets praise at any moment, they're also willing to pass the compliments on. They're not too busy being like, well, what about me? Which is fantastic to see, because sometimes in situations like this where you get two powerhouse performances, someone tends to kind of try and seize the moment, and they are sharing the moment. And I think that's wonderful.
I would like to shout out to Naomi Scott. I know that you've had a crush on her since she was Kimberly Hart in Power Rangers.
Power Rangers 2017. It's in classic Pink Ranger form, yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, while that version of it was terribly written, she's kind of floated around in the background for a while, and I recently watched her in Smile 2, which is a horror movie, so I know you won't watch it. But she is playing Sky Riley, a pop star who gets infected with the curse of the smile curse that happens. I was really impressed by her just willingness to invest completely in this character. Like, I know the character is supposed to be a pop star, and so they're supposed to show it rehearsals and other stuff. But there are like sections of this movie where they just show her rehearsing and singing with all the backup dancers on stage behind the scenes for like long lingering moments, scenes of like minute and a half, 2 minutes of like intense choreography and being lifted and spun around. And I was wondering if are they just trying to pad this out? But then I realized, no, she actually has talent. She's put out songs as an artist, and they went ahead and went, you know what, we're going to lean into this, showcase what she can do, showcase you see her as a person, as a talent. And they do a lot. It's a low budget movie, so they do a lot with practical effects, and she sells her performance with terrible things happening to her and the split personality performances she has to be putting on where she's acting against herself and other stuff. And I gave props. I was very, very impressed to see such a nuanced and deep performance, and that showcased her range and talent as a singer and dancer and as an actress. I dug it.
Again, in the spirit of International Women's Day, I would say check out the not Power Rangers, Charlie's Angels movie with Kristen Stewart and Naomi Scott and a few others as well. I think it's severely underrated. Like, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think the early 2000s ones with Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu are that good either. Like, those are extraordinarily campy, and honestly, I'm not a fan of them. I had a lot more fun with the modern one. I think that Naomi Scott plays the green rookie really well, and Kristen Stewart is having fun. She is having so much fun being just this pansexual ladies lady that just knows she's hot. Like, Kristen Stewart is bringing the charisma in that performance, and I think she carries that movie a lot. It's I think that movie is just a lot of fun. But Kristen Stewart's another one, a good shout out too, because Underwater is another really good thriller. We'll say it's not exactly a horror movie. It's more in the line of Cloverfield, but Kristen Stewart carries that movie as well in such a strong performance. And Underwater is another one that it should be in the cult annals, if nothing else, because I think it is kind of along that Cloverfield line where it borderlines on the thriller stuff, but it also has a little bit of camp to it. And you definitely have to have like a huge suspension of disbelief with anything, because they're deep sea 2099ing stuff where they're like in the Mariana Trench or like right above the Mariana Trench, and they're walking around in pressurized scuba gear so that they don't like just get crushed under the pressure of the water down there. So like there's levels of suspension of disbelief that you need to go through, but another really good movie and a really good performance from Kristen Stewart, in my opinion.
To backtrack slightly, I will contest that the Charlie's Angels movies, the Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu movies are actually good, because they won an Oscar in my heart for that scene in the trailer where Cameron Diaz is dancing around in her underwear.
Is that what I can say about Angela Bassett? She won an Oscar in my heart.
Because that is perhaps the thing that they've showed the most in every single trailer for that movie. Look, you get to see Cameron Diaz in underwear. Go see the movie.
Is that also the one where they're in the like traditional Norwegian milkmaid outfits and they do the dance? Yeah, I remember that. 15-year-old Josh didn't mind that, but that's definitely neither substance nor quality. That is pure pandering.
No. It really was.
Alex, I'm gonna save your one for last, because that's a little extra discussion I want to have. But I also want to shout out Lupita Nyong'o. She's having, I think she had a really good year. Say what you will about A Quiet Place Day One, I think her performance in that movie is really strong. Maybe the writing's not the best, but really strong performance in that one. And then also The Wild Robot. Again, take a shot, talking smack drinking game. Josh talks about The Wild Robot for a second. The performance in that one and the nuance of having to play multiple Roz robots, and her main one that is on the island and like transitioning, which like obviously that's like After Effects where they add the robotic tone, but then that goes away, but you get the warmth of her performance in that as well. Just Lupita Nyong'o, she's been great forever. And I remember that's people really started noticing her with Black Panther, but she was also in 12 Years a Slave. She's been in so many other really great movies with great performances. Lupita Nyong'o is just someone that really deserves as much praise as she can get, because I do think she's kind of just the younger star Black lady that people are just like, oh yeah, her, where she doesn't get the credit as well as some of the other stuff.
Now, my thing is I would like to address two people from an ensemble TV show. I would like Sheila Carrasco and Rebecca Wasaki from Ghost, better known as Flower and Hetty. Ghost is a damn good show.
So good.
They have been giving depth and performances this season that I have absolutely loved. I'll start with Flowers, because Flower disappeared briefly before they found her. And she is kind of coasting maybe her character development a little bit this year. But this past episode where she revealed a little bit more about her death, and frankly, that she watched her body being eaten by bear cubs and starts acting out how adorable they were while eating her and making sounds.
The sounds were fantastic. That was one of the best cold opens they've had for this show, because they clearly just said, go until we say stop. And she just went for it. And then they reenact it later in the episode, and she recreates it almost perfectly.
Oh yeah. And the thing about the second time is she shortened up like the beginning part slightly, but then she started doing the cubs eating her again. And Trevor, I think he cracked because they kind of cut away suddenly as he's like turning away and standing up. So I think they're like, that's the best take we got. Yeah. But yeah, she and Sasape have been given a little bit of a short shift this season with
Sasapis,
yeah, with their development. You know, other than Flower disappeared and they brought her back. And Sasapi's his big thing has been that he's a virgin, like a 500.
He died a virgin, yep, and he's still a ghost virgin as well.
So I'm hoping that they do more with that. Now they have given him more time with Jay in his dreams, which I really appreciate. When he goes into someone else's dream, I also super appreciated that. they gave him a chance to shine a little bit more. But I think this season has really been about Hetty, and Hetty has had some beautifully emotional moments where she and Trevor kind of reconnect and speak, but also they dedicated an entire episode to her backstory as to how she died, and that how that tied into them being able to find and rescue Flower. And damn, Ghost does not often go very dark. They often just make jokes about how they died, like Flower got eaten by a bear, Trevor died with with his pants. Was it Thor? No,
Thor got struck by lightning while wearing
Yep.
a metal helmet.
Yeah, the crud, I forget his name. The Isaac. Isaac pooped himself to death, you know?
Yeah, he died of dysentery.
Yeah, they always reference that, like, well, that's why your ghost power is you make things smell because you pooped yourself to. But Hetty died, unfortunately, as her family's fortune began to fall apart, and to try to protect her son through taking her own life. And they don't make fun of it. They lean into it really hard. And they even put up a disclaimer at the end for those with depression seeking help and stuff like that. And it was a really powerful episode and they revisited it this past episode, not that portion, but they revisit Hetty when she discovers her ghost power through having accepted parts of her past. And she gets a damn episode that is beautiful and lovely as she goes on a date with somebody. And I knew it wasn't going to last. You know it's not going to. But it's so beautiful and charming, and her actress just does beautiful things with micro expressions. And it's even like she's in this big Victorian style gown that just laces her up, and so but the way she does little adjustments to with her with her posture and with her face is just, it's lovely. And they're giving her so much material to work with this season, and she is just nailing it the entire time. It's really been elevating this season.
Yeah, Rebecca Wasaki has been just lights out in this series, let alone this season. And she has a future in dramatic acting and comedy. Like, she deadpans like a pro. And I cannot tell you how many times she's the one that delivers a line that makes me laugh out loud. Usually I just like crack a smile, or I'm like, yeah, that was good. But when she delivers her lines about like how casually they used to use cocaine, and how that was just the thing you did back then, to discuss this like civilized people over a table of cocaine. When they start cooking stuff, she's like, would it kill you to add a little cocaine for some flavor? And all these other things. But then when she gets to pull the dramatic punches too, it's so good. And I really want to see what she can do with a larger opportunity in something that's not just a TV sitcom. She's been in plenty of other things. She's been in even like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Dope Sick. She was in Blonde, which, that's got its own problems. But Hetty as a character, especially this season and with this most recent episode, she's just a fantabulously, and I say fantabulously because I misspoke, but it's an exaggerated word for a good cause. She's just been fantastic and wonderful throughout the entire series, but the way she can blend with any of the characters, because usually with sitcoms, especially ensemble sitcoms, they kind of buddy you up with someone, which like her main buddies have been Trevor, Isaac, and Gertie, but she can blend with anyone. Like, she has moments where she has the Flower, who is like the other side of her coin. They have great moments together. Thor was her imaginary friend as a kid, so she has this emotional attachment to him, and she just blends it so well. And especially in this most recent episode where she is able to be seen by the living, she's talking with Jay and just being vulnerable with people that she's been eavesdropping with, but she's only been able to communicate with Samantha since they moved in, besides her ghost family. But like, now she can actually like go face to face with Jay and like express herself in a way that she's never really allowed herself to be before, or at least not openly and honestly. So like, it's a powerhouse performance that I think if the show really got the attention it deserved, she would be getting Emmy nominations for this.
Mm-hmm. And I really hope she will, because it is a great show that is only half as funny because of its cast and the way they're able to weave the stories around each other, and each person is bought in. And yeah, so it just praise to her, and I hope they continue to utilize her well.
Indeed. And with that, once again, happy International Women's Day, belated, from the Talking Smack podcast. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more women with Split Fiction. But first, we're going to hear from Antonio over at the Cultworthy podcast. We'll be right back.
The Cultworthy Podcast. Join me, Antonio Palacios, each week as I guide you through a never-ending sea of obscure cinema and cult-worthy gems that deserve a rediscovery. Find me on all listening platforms and at thecultworthy.com. The Cultworthy Podcast. Join us.
That might be one of our latest promos in an episode we've done since before we started going, where we did like, hey, how's it going? All right, cool. Yeah, let's get into it. But first promo, back when we used to do like split topics and all that sort of stuff. Split. First and foremost, I want to apologize ahead of time. If I accidentally say split second, I apologize, because that is one of my all-time favorite racing games, produced by Disney Studios and a few other places, the defunct Disney Studios. Fantastic racing game that you no longer can get, which thankfully I have a physical copy. I actually played that with my 4-year-old nephew the other day, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you pick this game, buddy. Let's go. But we are talking Split Fiction, the latest game from Hazelight Studios. It sold 2 million copies in its first week, which is fantastic. Hazelight Studios has produced fantastic games like A Way Out, It Takes Two, which we talked about a little bit the other week. And their primary thing that they do at Hazelight is they make co-op games, and not just online co-op games. They make split screen couch co-op games where the entire premise of the game is you can see what your partner's doing, you see what you're doing, and you guys work together to do the thing that you're trying to do. I played up to, I think Joey and I played for like 3 hours. We got to the first like full on fantasy level where you play as an ogre and then this weird water creature that my eldest has dubbed the axolotl after like an axolotl and an otter. She's like, oh, it looks like these two things blended together. I'm like, you're smarter than you should be, because I didn't even see that, but it's an adorable name and I'm going to keep it. I don't know what it's actually supposed to be called, but I like axolotl. So we're not going to get too deep into the story, but we're going to talk about like the controls, the characters a little bit, and we're going to get into it. But Alex, how have you been playing the game?
With a controller? Oh, okay. Sorry. No, PS5 controller, couch co-op with my beloved. I have to praise Hazelight Studio, because this is their third game, and they work on refining this mechanic that they want to do. I still need to play A Way Out, but the idea of like a prison breaky kind of thing, yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be good, but we last played It Takes Two, which is about a husband and wife starting to go through divorce, and every level, how they layered new mechanics and new things to do, and how they truly make this game that you cannot beat this game solo. You have to have somebody with you. I respect. And this game just is a continued evolution of that, as they take the parts that didn't work and they throw them out. Now, the last one, It Takes Two, was because it was a heavy subject matter, and not really a spoiler alert, but by the end, because it takes maybe 15 hours to get through, by the end of it, I was cheering for these people to get divorced because there's only so long you can watch like Marriage Story or like The Life of Us or something like that and be like, listen, I don't care that you guys get back together. This is not When Harry Met Sally. If this is Harry Met Sally, I would have been cheering for you guys to get together 7 hours ago. At this point, please separate for the child. But this one, they're doing a similar premise, but in that it is two people with kind of opposing views. One is fantasy artist, and one person is a sci-fi artist, and they are hoping to get published by going to this publishing company who wants to utilize the works, and they think the best thing way to do it is you step into this machine that helps bring your visions to life, so they can see what you are envisioning, and if you agree to this, that they can kind of like really delve into your mind, they'll publish your crap, right? But it's very quickly revealed that this is not the case. They're just going to rip you off and just steal from you and take from you. And the machine glitches and throws the two of them together. And they begin to explore each other's worlds. Damn if it doesn't work.
It works so well. Like I said, I'm only 3 hours into the game, but good Lord, the characters have almost immediate chemistry, which is great because you're throwing two complete strangers with two differing views on how fiction should be told and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I don't understand really at this point is how does putting people essentially into like a VR, like almost like a Total Recall kind of thing where they like implant a memory sort of, but instead it's them going into your mind and letting you live out a story that you created, and you get to be like the main character and work through the process. I don't understand how that transitions into becoming a published author through them. So like, unless as you're going through it, like they have an AI thing just creating the story as you go through it. I don't fully understand the logistics of that, but that's not important. That's just me wanting to know more about like this process that they created. That is really just a gimmick to get the game going. But between Mio and Zoe, both are wonderfully delightful characters in their own right. And the only issue I have between them so far is that at the conclusion of the first sci-fi level, Zoe gets a little too personal too quickly, where she's like, hey, what's your financial situation like? Why is this an inspiration for your story about how you have unpaid parking tickets and all these other things? Clearly, these are inspirational that you have unpaid parking tickets, but I'm not going to say that. I want you to tell me because now we're best friends. And Mio's like, we are not best friends. You back off. I have no inspiration for anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's the only part so far where I'm just like, okay, Zoe, chill your shit for like 5 seconds. You can't go about asking this person you just met, like, what's your finances like?
I will give it that the part where I think Hazelight Studios fails a little bit is their writing is very odd sometimes.
It's very fundamental, like it's very basic. It's like, you need to understand this part of this character, so we will outright say it.
Right. And I think that can be, especially when you have such a long form of like a video game, you can explore that more in depth and with more nuance a little bit later on. Like, there is a level, and It Takes Two, in which the parents are trying to figure out how to undo the little curse that they've been put into these sock puppets. And they make the logical leap that since their daughter was crying when this happened, they need to make her cry to undo it. And that involves murder. Not of their daughter, but because they're toys, the other toys are alive. And so they're going to hurt other toys. And it is the most horrifying thing because you don't get to skip this. The game makes you, and it's not quick. And I'm like, and then, of course, the daughter's crying, and the parents are dancing and cheering, thinking they're going to turn back to adults. And when they realize it doesn't work, they're like, "Oh, maybe that wasn't the." I'm like, whoever
hurting
wrote
your daughter's
this part,
feelings wasn't the solution, huh?
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like 7 hours into this game, and this is what you think is the resolution. You know what? We can work this out if we both make our daughter cry by harming her toy. So that is, I think, a little bit of an issue. But then again, I really can't judge per se how surface this writing may be, because the machine, the company's name is Raider, rating their ideas. Haha. And yet one of my favorite games series is Horizon Zero Dawn, where the two characters you're first introduced to are Aloy and Roost. In a mechanical world, Alloy and Rust.
Yeah.
Right. But the gameplay is so good because they
It's
know how
seamless.
to do. They know how to do split screen. Have you played any of the Larian games, Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2, or
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay, Baldur's Gate. So they do split screen, co-op split screen perfectly. It's kind of like the Lego thing where you have your two characters together, and then as you split away, the screen kind of dynamically moves with you. But the way they do it is isometric kind of like 3D view. And as you pass by trees and stuff, the trees don't block you. The trees blend away, and they'll just kind of like show like part of the trunk and other stuff. And so you get this really beautiful dynamic world that you never lose yourself in. And It Takes Two did that really well. But this one, they stepped it up where I looked up some of the other levels that are eventually coming up because I was curious, for tips or anything, but to see how they do it. And there's parts of this, and you see it in the trailer, where you are playing side by side on the couch, and the screen is blurring between you two. One, like half of the screen may be sci-fi, the other half, and your characters may be slipping back and forth between them, changing their appearance as they do. And I'm like, they nailed it.
Well, and not only that, but like they immerse you into like your screen that you're playing on to the point where they have implemented it where it becomes full screen in certain moments, and I didn't even catch it. Like Joey and I were streaming on the Game Club Pod stream, which again I'll link that in the episode description again this week if anyone wants to see the gameplay. We'll probably be playing a few times this week also, but like there are moments where in the first level with the sci-fi stuff, which there's an amazing and awesome Akira homage in this first sci-fi level, which Joey, we need to do something about all these movies you haven't seen. I go, yeah, Akira. And Joey just goes, is that a cartoon?
Oh boy.
And I'm just like, Joey. they even have Shadow the Hedgehog do it in Sonic 3. Like, come on, man. But like you're doing this thing where both of you are on separate bikes, and then it does the thing where you have to get on a single bike, or maybe it's vice versa. But they have a couple of quick sequences where you are just on one screen, and I didn't even notice that the split screen was gone. I was just like, yep, okay, more space to work, we're good. It's seamless in how it does certain things. And there's one really cool moment where it becomes a little bit of a side scroller where like Mio's character is like climbing walls and doing all this other things because of her ability in the sci-fi world, and Zoe's just kind of moving horizontally. And then Joey says something to the effect of, man, I'm glad you're doing this because I don't know if I can handle all this stuff. And then immediately it like shifts to a top down view. But because of the way the camera moves, you just hear Joey go, huh?
One of the things I also respect about the way Hazelight does things and being a little bit further than you are in it is that they really like to kitchen sink shit. Like it may start with a little bit of parkour, a little bit of double jumping, but then like the next level will be something like, okay, cool, you have to figure out how to use these devices, and it suddenly becomes like a platformer with a puzzle element. And then the next level will be like, okay, now we're going to give you these random weapons that aren't weapons, but you have to use them to puzzle your way through this and mechanically defeat these new bosses. And they, as quickly as like give you something and take it away, you never feel overwhelmed, because it's not like you suddenly end up like you're a Christmas tree with 85 things on your back. They're just so swift about moving you through that this is a new level. These are new challenges. Here's a new quirk. The last time they had a release game, it was It Takes Two, which one?
It was 2021.
2021, which when it took Game of the Year awards and sold upwards of like 20 million copies, I think they announced last year. I'm very happy.
And that's
that
probably not even including like Game Pass downloads.
Oh yeah. And so I'm very happy. Like I'm excited to see where I get with this. I love the idea that the idea that they get to explore and integrate two different worlds. One's super sci-fi, one is super fantasy, because that just tickles me in a way of like, this is just great.
Yeah, it's perfect for both of us, but especially you as like the DM guy, like that's I'm sure that tickles your fancy in plenty of different ways. And one thing I really want to praise in this as well is that they did kind of try to go for a more photorealistic look of the characters, and that blends really well. Like there's never like, oh, this is a cutscene, this is a different part of the game, because usually there's like a quality jump when you get into a cutscene, like especially in like even Mass Effect, when it's a cutscene, you can tell it's a cutscene. But in this game, like it's all just blended really well. It's not like the most graphically powerful game ever made. Like it's not photorealistic by any means, but it is animated and designed in a way that is still really good. And on the Xbox, at least it's like 89 gigs, which is pretty large in my opinion for a game like this. But I fully understand why, because you have to program a lot of backdoor stuff for the cross compatibility. Because that's one thing we haven't talked about really, is that I mentioned I'm playing with Joey. He's playing on Steam. I'm playing on Xbox. And the other benefit of this game and the games that these guys produce at Hazelight is you only need to buy one copy. They have this thing called the Friend Pass, and the game is affordable too. Like games have jumped up to $70, where this game released at $49.99, and your friend doesn't have to buy it if they want to play with you, or if you want to play with a friend. Yep. They just need to download what they call the Friend Pass on their platform of choice, and they can play with you as long as you have an online subscription, if that's required for whatever platform you're playing on. So like if you're playing on Steam or your desktop, you don't need to do anything other than have your friend have a copy of the game and you download the Friend Pass. Just fantastic marketing and understanding what will automatically put gamers into a positive frame of mind. Because I can't imagine saying, yeah, the game launches at $50, but you both need copies.
There are plenty of games which, you could play that are kind of like this. We have the Lego games and stuff like that. But unless you're doing couch co-op, your friend also has to buy a game. So they are effectively saying this $50 game is $25 because you play it. You have to have a friend. That's the thing, is you can't. Maybe you could do it with two controllers, but boss fights, you're leaving the second controller unplayed. They're essentially saying, hey, your friend gets the copy for free when they're playing with you. And that's fantastic. It is. They have their mission statement of what kind of games they want to tell, what kind of experiences that they're trying to involve people in. And yeah, your friend gets to play for free if you buy it. That is great. That is generous, and that is well worth the experience. It's not like it's a 5 or 6 hour game where it's like, oh yeah, well, we kind of want to goose sales a little bit, and maybe your friend will buy a copy and share it. It's like, no, it's a $50 game that is probably going to take
10
me
to 15, 20 hours, somewhere between there.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
I was trying to look for like lines of dialogue from the area that I played, and I came across a YouTube walkthrough that said it was 10 hours, but I'm thinking they probably cut out cutscenes and stuff from that. But yeah, I really could not recommend this game enough, just from even the 3 hours that I've played. Like there's no buyer's remorse. Like my time and my money is very finite right now. And I am so glad that I put the time and savings into even just this $50 game to make sure I had it and I could play with friends.
I look for opportunities to play, and that's another thing where I have to really give them props for, is so few games nowadays are couch co-op. Even Baldur's Gate 3, which I absolutely love, by Ilarion, I had to wait a year to couch co-op it, because when they originally released it, yes, you could do couch co-op, but it was very hard lined, separate screens, even when you're like next to each other, and it was absolutely miserable, especially when you're in combat and everything's weirdly truncated. They finally I waited a year because they finally patched in their dynamic cut screen, which is what their other games had, so that it's more like the Lego games where you're all one screen until you separate after a distance. And so you get that full field of view where everything's not truncated and it's zoomed in, so that they have figured out how to do appropriate cut screening. and purposely are building it so that they want you to have a connection. They want you to play with somebody. They want you to be on a couch, or like you said, it's cross-platform. You can play with somebody who's on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam. Would be surprised if this didn't play well on Steam Deck. So you may be on your couch and your friends like laying in bed, half paying attention, but going like, yeah, we're puzzling.
The other thing that all of the Haze-like games do really well is they will randomly just throw you into an area. Like they'll have a quick cut scene where the characters have a little bit of dialogue, things kind of get a little heavy, or like they've just revealed some plot details, and then they come back, and then all of a sudden, in the case of Split Fiction, you end up at a pool, and it's like, hey, let's play around with the pool for a minute. You can go swimming. They have water slides you can go down. Your characters interact with them. They comment about the area that they're in. I think even with Zoe's character, like you can lasso a rubber ducky, and she goes, hey, look, a ducky. And it really helps with the immersion of the story and like the connection to the characters that you create, because they're saying the things you say. Like the first side quest that they do, or side story as they call them, where you go from the sci-fi world into one of Zoe's fantasy worlds, is you get into this big cathedral area of a like bell tower, and Zoe just goes, echo, and you hear the echo radiate through the room. And it's like, yeah, people would do that.
Yeah, they are really good at giving their characters just personality, and just play it, man. Listen, half of you listening right now, raise your hand. Okay, you're the ones who are obligated to buy the copy. The other half of you didn't raise your hand. They're obligated to give give their code so you can play it with them. All right, that's how this works. I'm sorry, I already made the rules. You already raised your hand. That's the way it goes.
And they also have lobbies where you can say, hey, I need someone to play with, and they will find you a person playing solo, and you can make a new best friend, I guess.
Exactly. And you know what? Because lobbies in most games suck, you can mute them. Just play through with them. You can play through together, enjoying the experience in silence. Or hopefully these lobbies are better than Fortnite lobbies, because dear God.
I will say, to pay more compliments to this game, the game is very forgiving. Like this game, there's no penalty if you die. It just takes you back to a certain checkpoint, and then you get to redo it. There's no big penalty for dying. There's no lives counter. The game doesn't be like, oh God, you sucked. Your character died and all their life's work was stolen by the massive corporation.
Oh man, that would be terrible. That would be a great alternate ending that they just stick in there anytime you died. It's like, like, oh my God.
I triggered a memory for myself now, because I shared the IGN review, or at least a portion of the IGN review, in our Discord, and there's something in here that just reeked of lack of self-awareness. Let me see if I can't find it here. Going through yep, right here. So this blurb from IGN's review of Split Fiction, it says, Split Fiction is two proud middle fingers in the Congo line of entitled tech bros who have decided art is a commodity that can be scraped, stolen, and repackaged by their plagiarism engines. This coming from IGN is the classic Onion, the worst person you know just made a great point headline. Because IGN is not afraid to use AI to create clickbait bullshit where it just hits every SEO, where it's like, oh, this person who was in the Marvel movies, like Avengers starring Chris Evans, and they just start listing all the names in the movies within the like first 3 paragraphs, just so they hit that SEO where if you're searching for something, that article is going to come up just because they briefly mentioned that one thing in that one movie, or that one game in that one voice actor, or whatever it may be. That's one of those things where when IGN calls out AI tech bros, and then also is just like, yeah, fuck you guys, that's where I'm like, look in the mirror, pal.
Yeah. I listen. IGN will stop picking on you when you stop putting out articles of the ending of whatever explained the day it comes out.
Dude, God, why you got to do this to me? Because Invincible season 3 just had its season finale, which they gave Invincible season 3 a 4 on their rating, which I think that's insane. I don't think it was their strongest season, but it's still like a 6 or a 7.
Solid.
It's not a 4.
No.
Which, like, to be fair, an IGN 4 is probably more like a 0 because of how they're paid and how they review. Invincible season 3 is not a 4, especially that last episode. I think Amazon releases the episodes at like 2 a.m. Central Time on the release day. And literally I'm at work by 6 a.m. I'm sitting through my meetings. I have a little bit of downtime after the meeting, and I go to IGN just because I need something to read. I can't just sit and stare at my computer and do nothing or talk to my coworkers, God forbid. I go to IGN and I see Invincible season 3 ending explained what happened. And I'm just like, it's been up for 4 hours. Fuck you guys.
I'm actually really surprised they gave this game a 9. I thought they would find something to pick on about it.
Oh, I feel like this Hazelight has earned a little bit of what would be the word?
Clout, forgiveness, leeway.
Yeah, maybe leeway. Like there's no leeway that's needed for this game at all, by the way. From the 3 hours I've played, to preface. Super fun, handles really well. Obviously, cross-platform gaming is just a beautiful thing. But when Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword came out on the Wii, that game got 10s across the board. That is not a 10s game. That is a 6 game. And I say this as someone who is not a huge Zelda fan. Like, I love Breath of the Wild. I hated Tears of the Kingdom. I've said my piece on that before. Drinking game, Josh bitches about Tears of the Kingdom. But like these review sites, there are certain things, certain studios, certain games, certain titles that at a certain point, they will just be like, you know what? It's Zelda. It's Mario. We can't give it anything less than an 8 just because it's this thing. And so I think that because it's Hazelight, if they gave it a 6, like that's almost like them damning the studio for closure. So I think giving it a 9 is probably more like a 9.5 for anyone else.
Probably. I could see that.
So in the Talking Smack ratings, it's a must play. I don't think anyone can argue otherwise. And if you're on the fence about it, or if you don't have a way to play the game, feel free to watch me and Joey play. We will be streaming as we are able. You'll see the gaming links shared on our Discord. And again, I'll update the links in our bios as we keep playing. So all those sort of things, if you want to just watch the game be played. I think we did a pretty good commentary between the two of us. That was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And you might hear my kids chime in from every now and again, because like I said, my eldest dubbed the water blizzard thing the axolotl, and I love that. Like that is not something I could have come up with, even though it's like the most obvious thing in the world, but my kid came up with it and I'm super proud of them for it. So it's just a wonderful game made by a studio that really understands writing and creating really fun cooperative play.
It is. It's a must play. Like I said, the half of you raise your hand, you know, you have your walk-in orders. The other half of you find them and you play with them and you enjoy what is going to be a delightful experience.
And you can find each other on our Discord if you like. So Alex, let everyone know about the Discord.
Our Discord is in the link below. It's tsmackpod@gmail.com. It's where we, post about Smart Feelings. It's where we have instant reactions to movie news and movie news, TV news. It's where we talk about our superheroes, movies, animation, and comics, and so much, much more. So please join our Discord. And as always, @Matt, so that he knows that you're there and that he replies to your comment with his thought-felt rant.
And make sure you let him know what your hottest take on Star Trek is, because he will refute it, even if he doesn't necessarily believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the link for our Discord in the episode description. You can find us on all the social media platforms at Talking Smack Pod. We are on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. and TikTok. Yeah, TikTok is kind of taking a back seat lately just because there's some icky things happening over on that website that I cannot bring myself to load it up. So I'll figure something out to make sure we still have content rolling there. But I'm definitely not going to be as active on that site. But yeah, Talking Smack Pod. Don't forget to check out this Friday my appearance on I Have Some Notes. You can email us your thoughts, reviews, questions, concerns, anything you may have. We have Talking Smackdowns coming up. Email us your Smackdown suggestion at tsmackpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes, Beppo for our original avatars, Retro Ale Studios for our Ricky avatar. Thank you to Joey Fitzgerald for our thumbnails. They are absolutely wonderful. Alex, I made sure to have Joey put you on the fantasy side, the Zoe side of the split fiction art that we have. I'm on the Mio side. Please like, subscribe, rate, review on your podcatcher of choice. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, then you get the podcast every time we upload. And the likes help the algorithm. The algorithm, the almighty thing that makes sure we get out there as best we can. We can only do so much. If you hit the like button and help the algorithm boost us, that's what we need. So please, please, please hit that like button, leave reviews, make sure we get shared around. Rockford, we love you. We'll see you soon for episode 200. Alex, thank you so much for having been here. Listener, thank you for listening. Alex, what should people be watching?
You better watch Star Trek. You better load that up right now. There's some great Star Trek out on Paramount Plus. Do it.
Who loves T-Smack?
I love T-Smack. Is it true? Mm-hmm.
I do.
Ooh.
Paramount Plus, not a sponsor, but should be.